Hi, Susan. How's-
Hi. Well, I think I have the same problem that Scott was describing with the background. I think it's this computer I'm using that it won't do it because
Huh.
I'm signed in and you can see it says Susan at HJTA, which is because I'm signed in and I don't know why it doesn't work.
It's so funny though because really the background I made it for myself because one more box I had to close.
Oh, okay. Was
Um,
that delay was that delay coming from your other screen open?
yeah, yeah, the website open. I was just gonna say that the reason I made the background is it was more for like the person doing an intro. It was like for because in TPPF, it's like this girl came up for like a minute and she
Mm,
background just like that, but with their logo and introduced the people. But the actual like legit, speakers, not the just the girl doing the intro, they had more like your background. So it was funny that it wasn't meant as like this really it wasn't meant to denote like some type of high high status. But I made it and everybody saw it and they all liked it and now like it's gone viral within the HJTA community.
Well, it looks like we're all in the same organization. It looks like we're doing a professional event. It really looks great.
Hello,
But
hello.
hello, it does have the people move their head and you see flares go off and it looks a little strange. But um, except for that problem, the idea of it is perfect. But I'm going to have to go get another computer at Office Depot or something because this computer won't do it. And the laptop I use for writing doesn't even have a camera on it, so I'm out of date. I'm looking at the press email and it's
On.
perfect, so I'm sending you an
Cool.
okay for the press email.
So everybody is here. When we do this for real, I'm gonna have everybody muted. Like there's an option to like have everybody muted when you join. Um, but I didn't do that this time.
So we're starting out. We've moved Victor Davis Hanson to 11 o'clock. One thing we need to do is we need to make sure that once we have the schedule settled, get that to his two people. He has a separate scheduler and someone else, I guess, his his agent for speaking. So as soon as we get that finalized, let's make sure we keep them in the loop. And so I don't have my little program in front of me, but as I seem to recall, Susan, we're going to have the background. Oh, how are we on a bigger background? And did we make any decision on music, Eric?
I didn't get any music, but there was a background up that you would have seen as 10 minutes ago or so before this all started.
Put it
Um,
up now so we can see it.
Yeah.
yeah, I can share my screen. I can't put it up. It's like a free event thing, but like give me give me a minute. I'll share my screen.
And the pre-event thing would be visible on on Facebook and YouTube while people were waiting if they logged in early.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, you're just looking at my screen right now. Yeah, ignore the messiness of it. Um, it's one of oh there it is.
Okay. Will it have? Oh, is that just the? Okay, so you're putting up Reinstate 58 as our cover page?
No, no,
Okay.
we're
Well,
just seeing his screen while he's looking for things.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. So what are you seeing? Like what do you
We're
see?
seeing Reinstate 58 across the banner, and we're seeing a like
color palette.
a color picker palette.
But you're not. So okay. Hold on one second. So that give me share. Okay, yeah. So no, that's not what I'm trying to show you is the
Sorry about that.
In the unlikely event we have some downtime, for example, that we can't find Victor Davis Hanson or something, we ought to have a default screen. So whatever the beginning screen is, oh, there it is. That looks nice.
thank you.
That looks
So
very good.
but you're screen sharing, so we're seeing your menu bar at the top. Can you do it so that we're only seeing the graphic?
Yeah, he can probably do full screen.
Um,
Yeah. Well, sort of.
None of that other stuff is there when you see it on the video. Like
Okay.
just the capital picture and no edit and create or anything.
Okay. All right, when we practice again, I'm going to log in early to just see how it looks. And it would be good in the unlikely event we have to break and we want a background. You might want to play around with how you would go back to that full screen in the event that Victor Davis Hanson says, can you give me 5 more minutes or something like that. I think we would probably want to fill the time, Susan.
Yeah, definitely.
We got enough people here, we can talk about things.
Right.
So I don't think that's going to happen, but just in case.
Right, but you're right. We should have a standby graphic that says we'll be back in a minute or something like that.
Or the conference will resume in 5 minutes. That's an idea. No, we don't. It's a 2-hour conference. People don't need a break. They can walk away and go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I think if we break and they click away on their computer, they
We
won't
lose a
remember to
lot.
come back.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lose a lot. We'll lose a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot more fun when you have coffee in the back of the room and they don't really leave. If they go
Yeah.
clicking away to something else.
I think I might start with a joke like, thank you for joining our conference. For those of you who are here in the office, we have cookies in the break room.
That's mean.
That is mean.
No cookies for you, audience.
No
That's mean.
cookies for you. No, I think I'll say something like, next year, we'll do it in person where we will have coffee and cookies in the back of the room, but you're going to have to suffer through your own coffee and cookies today.
That's right. It's a make your own coffee conference.
Make your own coffee and bake your own cookies. Or
Maybe
Tim
just
Biddle
Provide all
bake-
the
bake
negative
the
press
cookies.
co-feffy.
Considering how many people are RSVPing this way.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Okay, so we're going to start when Susan will begin, and she'll do the intro.
Welcome everybody to the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association Taxpayer Conference. And we urge you, if you're not already a member, to join. And now it's my pleasure to introduce John Kupal.
Thank you, Susan. Welcome, everybody. This is, I'm John Capal, President of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Thank you for joining our conference. This year, the conference is on Zoom, but next year we hope to, in fact, we certainly plan to have the conference in person. We haven't decided yet whether it will be Northern California or Southern California, but stay posted to our notices, and we look forward to seeing everybody in person. Next year we will have coffee in the room and cookies in the back of the room, but this year you're on your own. Anyway, it's my pleasure to welcome you again. And as you know, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association has a unique history, which I'll describe briefly. Do that, and now I'll talk about a couple political things. Now I've done that, and now it's my pleasure to go into the more substantive part of the program, which is to discuss both our litigation efforts and our lobbying efforts, what's going on in the Capitol. And to kick it off with the litigation efforts, I'm pleased to present our Director of Legal Affairs, an experienced attorney on taxpayers issues, Mr. Timothy Biddle. Tim, would you like to take it away?
Yes, thank you, John. I'd like to report that there is no good news because the California courts have swung far to the left, and we lose all of our cases now. Therefore, following the lead of the Peanuts comic strip when Charles Schultz died, we decided to reprise some major victories from the past. First, I'd like to report that the final results are in for the November 1996 election, and voters approved Proposition 218 by a wide margin. The Supreme Court ruled in our favor in Santa Clara Transportation Authority versus Gardino, upholding the 2/3 vote for a sales tax proposed by a special district. That's all for me.
Thank you very much, Tim. Now to discuss legislation and an equally progressive body. Here's our Director of Legislative Director, Scott Kaufman. Scott, take it away.
Everything is terrible. Save the last bullet for yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. All right. On that note, I would now like to introduce our keynote speaker. I have his biography right in front of me. So insert herein a glowing introduction of Victor Davis Hanson, who is as sour and dour as we are. If you've ever heard him speak, he doesn't smile very much. And so, Victor Davis, thank you for that apocalyptic review of the state of California. We greatly appreciate it. And Victor, you just said the same thing that Scott said. Save the last bullet for yourself. Now, at this point in time, I'd like to, if you have a question for Victor Davis Hanson or any of our panelists here, we have a series of questions, and if someone could go ahead and pop up the questions that for our viewing that I can relay to Victor Davis Hanson, or Susan, you can do that.
So what I was thinking I would do is, while all of you were presenting, I would turn off my video and scroll around on all of the stuff and select questions. And then so you can toss it to me when you are ready for Q&A, and I'll have the questions all teed up for you already.
Great. I will let you handle the questions. Let me make a note.
Okay.
You know, we could do what Joe Biden does and just write our own questions.
Yes, we could. No one would
Or
know.
better yet, tell the press that if I answer any questions, people won't like me.
I think his exact
Or-
words were, "I'll get in trouble if I answer any questions."
Yes, or
Mhm.
the Biden administration, which has to approve quotes. If you use them on, if the media talks to him and it's on by way of background, they've now been saying that they have to approve the quotes. So the media personnel has to send it back to the Biden administration to get the quotes approved.
Why do they do that? Why do they agree to this? Where's Sam Donaldson?
I know. It is horrific. It is horrific.
Or more appropriately, just circle back with people.
back, circle back. So when we do, Susan, you saw the email from Victor Davis Hanson's folks.
Mhm.
Do you want to pick either today or Wednesday as the day that we're going to loop in?
Either one is fine for me. Who wants to be in that rehearsal? Do you want to be there, John?
I want to be in that rehearsal.
Okay.
And
So
I think anybody else should be in there. It can be really short. It should only take about 10 minutes just to make sure
Right.
that their feed is correct. And
Right, and that everybody's got the right link. So Eric, when are you available? Did you get that email? I thought
Yeah, I got the email. What there were a lot of times being thrown around. When?
there were just two.
Yeah, I saw the email. I didn't follow it entirely. So could somebody just tell me?
Well, let me see if I could find it. My computer here is giving me an argument. It was for tomorrow or Wednesday, and it was like 10 in the morning or 9 in the morning, and let me find that.
I think tomorrow's better for me than Wednesday for what it's worth. But
why don't we go ahead and get out of the way? If they're available at 10 o'clock tomorrow, we can do it then.
Okay.
All right.
10 o'clock tomorrow it is.
Okay. And oh, I see on the chat. There's the questions. How many cups of coffee has John had today? You don't want to know.
Are we supposed to click a button to have the chat show for us while we're talking? Or
Yes.
What
Yes.
button is it?
It's on the same bar where the mute button and the stop video button is, but it's in the middle. So if you roll your cursor down over the bottom of your screen, you should get that.
Oh, chat. There it is.
That's the
Oh,
one.
yeah.
And if you
Click
push
on
that,
that.
it should show up on your screen. On my screen, it's on the right.
And I hope these questions are eliminated because I'd hate Victor Davis Hanson to see, has VDH ever had a pedicure in Thailand?
Yeah, we won't do that.
every time that we do these, it's 100% new from the previous time. Like it's a
Okay.
complete different. Like I'm not gonna say offensive things, but like I'm just saying I could.
But you know, Al Gore probably has had his
Nobody else
pedicure in
would.
Thailand.
Well,
Okay.
I'll write the questions down as we go through the conference that I think we really have to ask. And then John, when you toss it to me, I can say we have a question from so-and-so, or we just have a question from Facebook, and I will read the question. And then John, you can decide who you want to answer it. How's that?
That
You can
sounds
say-
good.
You can say, well, that's a question for Scott, or that's a question for Tim, or you can answer it yourself.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for attending the conference.
Thank
How
you
long is the
very much.
question and answer period going to be?
Well, we don't know. I think we have to play it by ear. I don't feel bad about keeping Victor Davis Hanson for an hour because we wrote him a pretty big check. So,
No, I mean
No.
our question and answer period.
well, I think that's going to be, that may be part of it. Don't you think, Susan? Unless we're not
Well,
going to do.
here's how we had it set up. We were going to do in the last half hour, we were going to do like 10 minutes of questions. We were going to have Tim and Scott for 10 minutes each, and then 10 minutes of questions. And then we could go over at that point. But what we're going to do now is we're going to have you for half an hour, and then I guess we have half an hour for Tim, Scott, and questions. If you want to do questions before we introduce VDH.
Wait a minute. John's going to be for half an hour?
Doesn't have to be, but that's what we were figuring. 25
About
minutes, half an hour.
20 minutes and maybe some questions, and then
Okay.
Tim, and then Scott, and then maybe leave 15 minutes or so for questions for all three of us. And
Okay.
then 11 o'clock is the hard break for Victor Davis Hanson.
Okay, and then when he's finished, we'll do more questions if we have them
For him, yeah,
for him.
for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
sounds good.
or us if people,
Right.
because everybody I assume is going to still be on the call to listen to Victor Davis Hanson. He's very good. So
Okay, so you want to do questions really after every segment?
I think so. Divided into two parts: questions for HJTA personnel, and then questions for BDH.
Okay, so questions after, you want to speak for like 20 minutes and then take a couple of questions
Right.
and then introduce Tim?
Yes.
Okay, so then we'll have Tim.
Who's
and we'll
going to be reviewing the questions and choosing which ones?
Me.
Susan and
Mhm.
Deborah? Susan and Deborah? Can we give you guys some guidelines on which questions to choose?
Sure.
Sure.
Because I'm thinking we probably don't want any very fact-specific questions. You know, if somebody's
Right.
got a question about a particular fee in Petaluma, we don't want
Right.
that one, or
I think if we, because I would be cutting out the specific questions and asking them to email info@hjta.org for personalized assistance.
That's a good idea.
Well, hey, I mean, beyond the fact that, you know, you've got like Deborah and Bryce and Susan and everybody looking at the questions to post in the chat. You guys that are speaking, you know, there's just, I mean, like what we're doing right now, you know, there are questions in the chat, and the speakers can just, you know, kind of scroll through the ones that are being shared, but it's not like you're not being like publicly put on the spot. It's not like, you know, somebody like me or Susan or anybody is going to show up on the screen and be like, so here's a question. So you can choose from the ones that we through, you know, we'll screen them. You know, we're going to choose the ones we think are appropriate, but you also can take a look and be like, I don't like that one. I'd rather discuss this other one, and, you know, and just do that.
And also, if I pose a question to you and you don't want to answer that question, then just pivot and answer something else, and we'll just keep moving.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting question, but an even more interesting question is this thing.
Reminds me of the time that.
I'm going to have to circle back to that.
but Susan, the audience is not going to hear your voice. The
They
audience
will
is not going to.
when I'm moderating the questions, they will, but they won't hear me. While you're speaking, I'll have my video off and I'll be looking through the questions that Deborah and Bryce or Eric feed to the chat. And I'll make a note of which ones I think are the most answerable and the most general for the audience. And then when John tosses it back to me to say, are there any questions? I'll ask the question to John, and then he can toss it to you for an answer. How's that?
Okay, that's different than what Eric just said. Eric said that we can scroll through the chat and pick which questions we want to answer.
Well, you
So
can.
that's not going to happen.
Not while
Go
you're
with what
speaking.
Susan said.
How could you do it while you were speaking?
No. Well, okay. So you're going to ask the question, Susan.
Right. And if you want to type, if you have the opportunity after you speak while we're doing Q&A, if you see something in the chat, you say, I want to answer this one. I'll see that in the chat. You just type it in after
How
you're
will
speaking.
I identify it?
Can you see the chat right now?
Yeah. So let's
Okay.
say I wanted to answer the question about how many cups of coffee John has had today, which is up at the top of the list. How would I tell Susan I want to answer that question?
At the bottom of the chat where it says type message here,
Yeah.
that you'll have to type into that to everyone and say, I want to answer the question about the coffee cup, and then hit enter, and
Okay.
then we'll all see it.
So then you'll have to go back and find it.
Right. I'll have to scroll back and find it.
Perhaps to make this go smoother, we should assign each question a number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can just quickly say I want to answer 3, 5, and 8. as opposed to saying, I want to answer the one about John getting coffee, and I want to answer the one about pedicures in Thailand, and I want to answer
Okay.
the one about.
That
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
Deborah, when you type them into the chat, put a number on them.
I'll number them. But you won't be able to see, even though I'll be online, you won't be able to see me or Bryce. We're both going to be invisible.
But we will see
And
what you type.
perusing
Yeah.
You will
Facebook
only
and
see us in
YouTube
chat.
respectively.
So
we'll
for
see
the
your-
questions to show up in the chat, Deborah, you have to retype them?
No, I just copy and paste.
Okay.
And when Susan answers them, she will be live. You will no longer just be on audio. So we get to
Right.
see it. And once you start asking the questions, you can just don't have to go on and off video. Just stay on video. So you can, I mean, you're looking off to the side and you can say, oh, here's another question.
Right.
And then you read the question, and then I'll say, oh, that sounds like a question for Scott because it involves legislation. Scott, what do you think about that?
Right. Another thing that we could do is you could email me. I could have my phone open for email. And if you want to, you can email me and say, I want to answer this question, or ask me this because I forgot to cover it. Something maybe nobody asked and we want to ask it ourselves. So you can do that. Does that help?
I think that's more complicated.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think we want to keep it. We've got this format. I think the best thing to do is to keep it
Okay.
simple.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, the fellows just got back to me.
Oh, yeah,
And?
yay or nay?
Nay.
Oh,
What?
good. Bummer.
Their loss.
They're lost.
Third place.
It's fine.
Bryce, do you need pizza?
What?
Do you need some pizza?
I'm fine.
Pizza.
You want me to set fire to the building? 'Cause I can do that. I can get in there, man.
Yeah.
Anytime you want.
No, it's fine. I'll just go to the gym for 3 hours today.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry
Scott
about that. I hope you play again. We'll give another
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
Build up your resume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that means we get to keep you for a while, so that's good.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome. All
Scott,
right.
is there anything new before we get off? While we're all here, is there anything new on ACA 9? Any reaction to it?
Just
No.
really quick. Not that this is necessarily people who get to decide anything, but I announced it at the Placer County Republican Party meeting last week, and everybody was super excited. I told them all, sign up for HJTA updates, sign up for Kevin Kiley's updates, and we all are like huge Kevin Kiley fans. So I told them, I'm like, this shows how good our conservative leadership is in our community. And somebody said, and I didn't mean it to go this way, but it was true. And somebody said, they're like, yeah, but also Brian Daly represents our community too, and he voted for this horrible thing. And they were like, yeah, like everybody, if Brian Daly ever shows up to our meeting, like we should tell him what we think about that. And they were all like, yeah. I didn't mean it like that, but they were all very supportive of us and of Kevin and like what we're doing and want to help.
Oh, Brian is definitely feeling the heat on this. He's been the point person for the Farm Bureau with Hertzberg's office trying to get some fixes, but they're not going to get the fixes that they want. It's just not going to happen. And so I think Dale is in a lot of trouble with the Farm Bureau. So it could be very interesting because in the last conversation I had with Farm Bureau, they're about ready to blow the whole thing up and support us in repealing the intergenerational transfer and restoring 58. I guess to answer your question, ACA 9 can't be heard in committee until June 5th because while the Senate bypassed their Rule 55 in the state constitution that allows them to do hearings immediately, the Assembly did not. So everything, so once it comes from the printer, the way it's supposed to work to give people time to kind of read bills and those sorts of things, the public, you typically have about a month before June 5th at the earliest. But obviously we can keep the pressure up online, and supposedly Bates is supposed to have a meeting this week with McGuire and Hertzberg. So we'll see how that goes. Her staff don't seem real thrilled about it, so I don't think we're going to get tons of great anything great out of it. Yes, John.
Is anybody having a problem watching Scott? He's breaking up.
Yes, I'm seeing it too.
Or am I the only one?
No.
His video's freezing, but his voice is going.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
look
did
at
get a
his
connection
computer.
unstable. Well, I'm done anyways. So June 5th. That's your
All right. Let's just hope that doesn't happen on Thursday. God, you would think with as much money as we give to AT&T, good Lord. All right. Okay, everybody. Well, we'll reconvene tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.